The issues affecting you. Revealed, explained, discussed. Now on WGAL 8 in Focus.
Hello, I'm Susan Shapiro. July is Disability Pride Month. It commemorates the signing in 1990 of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. Many families are navigating a disability while embracing it with pride and purpose. Tonight, we'll learn about the Schreiber Center for Pediatric Development, and we'll meet two families who use Schreiber services. We're putting Disability Pride Month in focus. Joining us now is the president of the Schreiber Center for Pediatric Development, James DeBoard. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
What is the Pediatric Center?
So Schreiber's been around since 1936, so we are coming up on our 90th anniversary. It is a provider of opportunities for children, young people in this community is really the way that I like to refer to it. We're a medical provider of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. We also have other programming in terms of preschool and childcare and recreational programming for children with special needs and disabilities. But really, again, at the heart of what we do is we provide opportunities for children to live the best lives that they possibly can.
How much is that need growing?
It has grown tremendously in the time I've been with Schreiber for 13 years. When I got to Schreiber, we were around just shy of about 1,800 clients, as we call them, instead of patients. There are clients. Today, that number is around 4,000. It has grown tremendously. We see children coming from all across central Pennsylvania, up to, I think, the last census count that we did, 11 different counties. People travel from far and wide, and a big part of that is just the availability of the services and how difficult it is to find these services here in the community where we live.
And these services are expensive. What's your concern about the current budgetary climate?
So 95% of the children that we serve are covered by Medicaid. So the Medicaid cuts in Washington, we have tremendous concerns because, again, the way it works is if you have a child with a defined disability, they by law are covered by Medicaid, regardless of household income. It doesn't matter how much money their father or mother earn. You know, it's not uncommon for us at Schreiber to see a child who is born with cerebral palsy, for example. They're on the autism spectrum, they have sensory processing disorder, they already have a multitude of disabilities, and now at age 5, they've also been diagnosed with leukemia. That's not an unheard of diagnosis at Schreiber. So the cost of providing that, even if you have a tremendous health insurance plan, is going to be tremendous on the family. So it's a government program that was designed to help families. The problem is the reimbursement rates for what it pays, because of those Medicaid rates are so low, most healthcare providers don't want to do these services, and that's why really Schreiber here in central Pennsylvania is kind of the only game in town to go to find these services for a child.
And I imagine it's not easy to find the qualified staff to do this kind of work.
So the people who work for us are the absolute best at what they do. They truly are. In any one of those departments, you couldn't ask for better people. Literally have helped thousands of children overcome their challenges, or again, become the best people that we all want to be able to have our children be, that we ourselves want to be. And so paying them the wages they deserve, the benefits that they deserve, there's a cost to that, as there should be, because again, they have trained to be in this position to help others. So it can be difficult to staff, and unfortunately that sort of ebbs and flows sometimes in particular departments when we're looking for personnel.
Disability Pride Month celebrates the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. How much do you think that changed things?
In many ways, I think it created a greater awareness of an issue where people with disabilities, individuals with disabilities, are like the rest of us. They want their rights to live their best lives. And I think the ADA reminded a lot of people that, regardless of whatever additional costs were involved with that, and a lot of people probably know it because of changes in curb cuts and ramps outside of businesses and things of that nature. Everyone should have the right to be a full participant in the society in which they live. It helped do that, but the reality is the world we live in is still, for the most part, not designed to help individuals with disabilities. So having Schreiber there to be able to provide services so that people can be as independent as they need to be, maybe not confined to a wheelchair if it's possible for them to walk with crutches or braces, or eventually even without, depending on the child's diagnosis and how far they can come. That's so key and so important to what we do and how we help these children and families.
What barriers do you think still exist that need to be addressed?
So funding is the biggest issue. Schreiber has grown. I said in the 13 years I've been there, our budget has doubled from almost, it was nearly $3 million. Now it's over $6 million. And the reason that is, we used to have 2-year wait lists to get a service. Your child would be put through an evaluation at their preschool, and they come home and they have a note that says your child was diagnosed with a speech delay. You go to the doctor writes a script to have them come to Schreiber. And so, as a result of that, for a long time we had 2-year wait lists because those parents would call in and say, my child's been diagnosed with a delay, I want to get them into Schreiber, and we would say, well, it'll be 2 years.
Wow.
Unacceptable. So we worked really hard to increase the staff size. We've had to increase our facility size in order to increase additional staff, but we've cut wait lists down. They're not 2 years anymore, but we have departments where the wait lists currently are 6 to 8 months because the volume of kids coming to our doors compared to what we can afford to handle based on our financial structure is still a huge challenge every day.
And you said it's not just children who are born with disabilities, but may have an acquired disability as a result of life.
Absolutely. If there's one of the things when I go out and talk to people in the community that they don't know or understand about Schreiber, so often they know or think of children who have spina bifida and Down syndrome and muscular dystrophy and all those diagnoses, and there's many more. But we see so many children who left home one day as a typically developing child, and as a result of an accident, sadly enough, children who are victims of shaken baby syndrome and abuse cases, children who are in car accidents, house fires, they come to us as well in order to recover and try to work to get back to being, again, the best individual they can be as they were before that accident.
I love that, the best individual you can be. Thank you so much. And coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll meet a family who uses Schreiber services.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
Joining us now is Deanna and Zoe Adair and Liz DeToria, physical therapist at Schreiber who helped Zoe. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Deanna, tell me about Zoe's condition.
Zoe has a condition called Rett syndrome. It's a neurological disorder that's caused by a genetic mutation. So it's more common in girls, and it's usually diagnosed around 6 to 18 months of age is when they start to either lose skills or not make progress in their development. So we had her evaluated by a neurologist. Brain MRI was normal, and I had just been looking up some different conditions. And when I was reading about autism, which she was actually initially misdiagnosed with, I saw Rett syndrome on a website, and I asked the geneticist to test her for that, and it turned out that that was what she ended up having. So when she was about 18 months old, she kind of stopped making eye contact with people, like she almost looked like she might have autism. And then when she was about a little older than that, maybe 20 months, she started to lose like her fine motor skills. She couldn't pick up her food and was kind of losing the ability to chew her food. She never has talked verbally. And she's never walked, and she's lost use of her hands. So she used to be able to play with toys with her hands and kind of lost that ability. So.
Oh, that must be so difficult.
Yeah.
How have you coped? She's 11 years old now.
One of the biggest things that's helped me cope is she's a very happy kid, and she has accomplished a lot despite her disability. So she's reading and writing in school using eye gaze. So that has kind of helped us. And also just there's a lot of hope out there for a cure for Rett syndrome. So they've actually cured it in mice, and they're working on, there's gene therapy trials going on right now, and they're working on other genetic medicines for it. So we actually do some fundraising for that. And, even just doing the therapies with her has, given us hope that she can make improvement or at least not lose more skills. That's the biggest thing. They tend to lose skills. So if we can just keep her mobile and keep her mind sharp, keep her involved in things. We do some things like skiing with her, and we're trying adaptive surfing this summer.
Oh,
so just
wow.
making the most of her life kind of despite
She's
her
braver
disability.
than me. Liz, what are some of the things you do with Zoe to help do all of that?
Well, I like to give the children a voice, whether they can vocally say it or not. So she said that she uses her communication to voice. We also have a yes/no board. So I'll ask her what she would like to do in therapy today. Generally, it has to do with walking and standing, transitioning sit to stand, things that we kind of take for granted on our daily basis are a challenge for her. And we want to make it easier on Deanna and her family as well, so that if Zoe can participate more in those sit to stands or helping hold her weight in standing, then that makes it easier on the caregiver.
What would you both like people to know about a child or an adult with disabilities like this?
The biggest thing I'd like them to know, especially about kids who are nonverbal, is just that whether you can tell or not, they very likely understand what you're saying, or at least understand a lot more than you think they do. So just talking to them, saying hi, asking questions is definitely preferable rather than, you know, either avoiding or staring. And just that kids with disabilities want to be included just like any other kid, even if they have to adapt the way they do things. They generally want to be included and kind of treated just like everybody else.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have Zoe here, and we're including her.
Yeah, there's the big smile.
There's that smile.
There's a big smile. Thank you for coming on, Zoe. We appreciate it. She does, as you said, communicate with this device on the front of her wheelchair. Oh, that's great.
It's called a Tobii eye gaze device. So there's cameras in there that pick up which symbol and which word she's looking at on there, and then it says it for her.
So technology like this has really improved things for
Yes.
a lot of these children and others, hasn't it?
I mean, I've been in pediatric physical therapy for 23 years, so things have definitely changed over the course of time, but we used to do little symbol boards. Kind of the same idea, but it was all Velcro and paper. You know, give the kids choices, put it on the board, they could look or point, you know, whatever to their ability to let us know. Because it's important to let them know they have some control as well when they don't have control over a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Schreiber has been a big part of your life, hasn't it, and
Yes.
your family's life?
Yes, she's been going there since she was 7 months old. We started there with a torticollis diagnosis, and eventually when she wasn't sitting on her own, wasn't crawling, we kind of realized we needed more. So all her early intervention therapists were through Schreiber. We've done PT, OT, speech. She went to daycare and preschool there. She does Camp Schreiber in the summer. So it's been a big part. And I actually, almost 9 years ago now, I actually am a physical therapist myself and made a career change over to Schreiber. So I was treating adult, mostly spine and, you know, orthopedic cases, and heard that Schreiber was hiring and thought, you know, maybe I'd like to help kids with disabilities myself, because it just felt more meaningful to me at that point. And I just felt like, you know, I appreciated the therapist who helped Zoe, and just felt like that was something I wanted to do myself.
Oh, good for you. Wow, it's certainly...
So it's changed my life a lot, actually.
Well, it's life-changing work.
Even more than just for
both
her.
doing,
So,
even being mom to Zoe.
Yeah.
Well, Zoe, thank you for being here. We loved meeting you, and we can't wait to see you on TV. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll meet another family, and we'll talk about disability pride.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus. Coverage you can count on.
Joining us now is Danielle Miklos and her son Cyrus Miklos, and Liz is here again because she's also Cyrus's physical therapist at Schreiber. Thank you again for being here. We appreciate it. Danielle, what is Cyrus's disability?
He has spinal muscular atrophy type 2. That is a motor neuron disorder where he regresses in physical abilities, and muscles start to die off. So very similar to muscular dystrophy. And he was diagnosed when he was 9 months old. It's normally caught on newborn screenings. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania did not have it in their newborn screenings when he was born. And our doctor just kind of caught on to some regressions in his physical ability, and we got some genetic testing done, and that's when we found out when he was 9 months old. And it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ever since.
How so?
There's no cure for something like this, but there's tons of new medications coming out. So it was kind of a run against the clock as to what medication option we should do, what hospital we were going to end up at. We initially started at DuPont, and we're going to do Spinraza, which is a very popular medication used for SMA. And then we switched to going to CHOP, and he actually is one of the first recipients of Zolgensma, which is a type of gene therapy used specifically for what he has. And he had that when he was just a few days over a year old.
Cyrus, what's that like for you? You go to hospitals a lot, you're at Schreiber. How do you cope with all of that?
I don't really know.
You do go to school. Tell me about school and what you like about it.
My friends and my teacher.
Oh, well, that can't beat that, of friends and teachers, that's for sure. How are you helping Cyrus with physical therapy?
Well, Cyrus and I get to play in the pool. So we actually do aquatherapy once a week. And so the water helps him be able to walk because buoyancy takes him up. And then I actually add some weights to bring his feet down, and then he can walk in the water. So he doesn't need a device. And he really enjoys, we pick out some games to play, right?
You didn't tell me you could walk on water.
Yeah.
No, my feet go underwater.
I am just teasing, yeah. So what do you like about the pool?
It's very warm.
It's very warm.
It's very warm. Oh, that sounds good.
And I just love being in water.
Oh, that's wonderful. Danielle, what does Disability Pride Month mean to a family like yours?
It's become a bigger deal for us, obviously, as he's gotten older and he's in school and meeting a lot more people. It gives a better focus on the fact that these kiddos, regardless of various disabilities and equipment that they need, they just want to be like every other kid, every other adult, anybody they meet. They want to communicate the same way. They want to be a participant. They want to be invited. And I think something like this puts a big highlight on that fact of, regardless of disability, they are still just a kid. They're still just a person. They want to just do all these fun things. And it's helped him have a voice when he's with his friends, other adults, even with Liz. He's never, ever been afraid to let you know what he's thinking. And yeah, he's just been great. He's not shy at all.
No, I noticed that. You're not shy, are you, Cyrus?
I'm not shy.
What do you think I know everyone always asks kids, what do you think you'd like to be when you grow up? What are your hopes for the future?
Boxing referee.
A boxing referee? Boy, that's a very specific thing. You like boxing?
Well, Sophia's gonna be a boxing girl.
One of his closest friends loves watching wrestling, so he wants to be a referee because she's gonna wrestle, so he can be there with her.
Wow.
You know when we're grown-ups, we're gonna marry each other.
Liz, you must get a kick out of some of these young people you work with.
We have a good time. We
Yeah.
do. There's always smiles and laughs. There's a lot of hard work as well, but I always try to make it fun.
And in terms of Disability Pride, what would you like people to know?
Again, I think reiterating what she just said about how they get their people, and people need to see them for that they can do many things and they are capable of many things, and you should never underestimate them. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, stay with us, Liz, because we're going to talk more about the therapies available at Schreiber.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus. Coverage you can count on.
We continue our conversation with Liz DeTore, who's a physical therapist at Schreiber Center for Pediatric Development, and we've met two of your patients. What is this work like for you?
It's very rewarding. You don't go into pediatrics without the understanding that you're going to put your own blood, sweat, and tears into it. You get very bonded with the families and the kids, and it just means a lot to see them do things that people kind of underestimated them. I've had families come in and the doctors say they'll never walk, talk, crawl, move, or do anything, and we can shock them all the time.
Wow, oh, that must be so rewarding. But yet, I imagine it's also tugs at your heart, and it's tough when they can't do things.
It is. I mean, it doesn't stop us from trying, though. Again, you put in your work, your emotional support there, too. And when they succeed, you succeed. So we don't stop. We just keep going until we'll figure out a different way if we have to. They call me MacGyver sometimes because of the way I work on equipment and do stuff with the kids. Again, everybody has a chance. Everybody deserves a chance.
What have you done? Adapted things to work with certain children?
Sometimes they come in and things just don't work the way you expected them to, so you have to get creative. Pool noodles are great for different things, and you know, again, I like to try to make the kids successful, and they get a kick out of trying to figure the stuff out too with me. So.
We talked with James about barriers that still need to be addressed. So what do you think in society in terms of people with disabilities?
I think educating the public, just understanding that these are people, and whether they can actually communicate with you or not, they still have an understanding of what's going on around them, and they can listen and hear. They just might not be able to verbalize or show their emotions the same way we can. There's kids with sensory integration issues, and you know, You can all remember being in a Target and having a kid have a temper tantrum. Well, sometimes it's not just the temper tantrum, and just having some understanding and education out there.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, these are children with very visible disabilities,
Yes.
but sometimes disabilities are not visible
Correct.
to the average person.
Yes, and I think there has been an ongoing awareness with like autism spectrum disorder and some sensory integration disorder, where you can see that these kids look typical, but you know, their neurodiversity is what they call them. They process things differently, and we all learn differently. Education has changed a bit over the years to adapt to everybody's learning disabilities or abilities. And so that is coming out, but there's still more to learn. There's still more to educate.
And it's probably important to educate young children who don't have disabilities about children with disabilities.
Yes, I think it's very important. At Schreiber in our pediatric preschool, we have an integrated program where we have typical developing children with non-typically developing children, so they can see it at an early age. I have 3 children of my own, and one of them does Girl Scouts with Zoe, and the other one was in the preschool program there. I think it's important to let them know that they are people and need to be treated like that.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you and the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for WGAL 8 in Focus. For all of us at WGAL, I'm Susan Shapiro. And join us again next Saturday night at 7 o'clock for WGAL 8 in Focus, right after NBC Nightly News. And you can watch each episode of In Focus, plus WGAL's latest newscasts, original programming, and more. Just download the Very Local app and stream for free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.